I'm Jordan Cameron. We're going to be doing a cooking video today for the town of Stratford. We're making a roasted tomato soup with some cornbread today. And it's going to be pretty simple and you can follow along. Today what you're going to need, we're using tomatoes. You can use anywhere between 6 to 8. These ones are pretty small. I'm using about 8 tomatoes. Need some seasoning. We just got salt, pepper, a bit of parsley and paprika, some bay leaves. Star of the show today is going to be our basil. Red pepper, if you're feeling extra sassy, you can throw one of those in there. And we're going to use some red onion, a little bit of garlic, and we've got some vegetable stock as well. First thing you're going to do is we're going to roast off a lot of our vegetables. We're going to take all of our tomatoes. We're just going to throw them right on the tray. We're going to take some garlic. You can use as much as you want to taste. I'm using probably 4 or 5 cloves. You don't need a whole bunch. We're not making a spaghetti sauce. It is going to be a soup. Throw those on the tray with it as well. Some basil. We're going to throw some fresh basil in there with it. We're going to roast that off and get it nice and crispy. Draw some of those flavors out. And we're also going to use our red pepper. We're going to roast that off. Flavor the red pepper accents tomato soup really nicely, especially with the basil in there. You could also use an orange pepper or a yellow. I would probably avoid putting a green in there. It might murky up the color a little bit. There's already going to be some green in there from our parsley and our basil. So we're going to throw all these on the tray together. Spread them out a little bit. Things roast better when they got a little bit of room to breathe. And we're going to touch those with some olive oil. And then we're going to do some salt and pepper on those as well. So, while we got our vegetables roasting off, it's a good chance to get our cornbread ready. So we've got our mise en place together for that. So cornbread, we're using 1 cup of flour. I'm using gluten-free flour today. Regular flour, gluten-free flour works just fine in this recipe. 1 cup of cornmeal. Medium to fine texture for the cornmeal would be great for this recipe. 1/4 cup of sugar. We're going to use a healthy pinch of salt, about 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 cup of milk, 2 eggs, and 1/4 cup of oil. So we're going to start off by combining our dry ingredients. We're going to take our flour and our cornmeal. We're going to throw our sugar in there, healthy pinch of salt, and our baking soda. Use a whisk to sift that together. Gets all the lumps out of your flour, and it'll have a nice smoother texture in the final product. Keeps you from getting a lot of bubbles in your cornbread as well. Set that aside, and then we'll combine our wet ingredients. We're going to put in our 1/4 cup of milk, full cup of milk, sorry, not a 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup of oil, and we're going to put our 2 eggs in there as well. Take our whisk again and whisk those ingredients together. So now that we have our dry ingredients mixed together and our wet, we're going to combine the wet into our dry. Make a little bit of a well in your dry ingredients, and then go ahead and pour in the wet. And you're just going to mix that with a spatula, kind of in a folding technique, just until it's completely mixed together. It's okay to have a few lumps with this recipe, sort of like a muffin batter is the texture we're going for here. Now I've got our greased pan ready. Just pour it in just like a cake batter. Settle it down, and then we're just going to set that aside until our veggies come out of the oven. We'll drop the temperature to about 400 degrees, and then we'll pop that in for 25 to 30 minutes until a toothpick comes out. now our vegetables are almost done roasting. We got our cornbread ready to go in the oven when they're done. We're gonna do a little more prep getting ready for our soup. So we're gonna take about half of a red onion, and we're gonna just slice it up into little slivers. And we're gonna sear that off in our pan with just a bit of olive oil. And we're gonna caramelize them just a little bit. Now that the veggies are out, we got our soup all underway with our onions browning up here. We're gonna go ahead and put the cornbread in. I've dropped the temperature of the oven down to 400, and we're gonna pop that in for probably 25 to 30 minutes. So now that we have our onions caramelizing quite a bit, we're gonna go ahead and throw in a few spoonfuls of tomato paste. That'll punch up the tomato flavor, add a bit of thickness to the soup as well. On top of our onion and the tomato paste, we're gonna start adding on our roasted veggies. On top of that, we've got our roasted veggies, we've got the caramelized onion and tomato paste. We're gonna go ahead and add in our vegetable stock. About 3 cups of that. I just used a bouillon cube. You can use fresh stock from a carton. You can also use chicken stock if you like. I'm keeping mine vegetarian today though. And then we're gonna turn up the temperature a little bit, and we're gonna let that simmer for probably 10 or 15 minutes before we get out our submersible blender. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add in some of our parsley and paprika. A little more pepper. And we're gonna hit it with a little more salt. Our soup has been simmering long enough. We're ready to do the fun part. We're gonna blitz it. You can use a submersible blender to do this, or if you have a heat-proof blender, you can just pour your soup right into that and blend it in there. As you're blending, do a taste test. See if you need any more seasoning in there. And hit mine with a little bit more salt. More pepper. I'm gonna throw another couple basil leaves in there while we're blitzing it as well. So there you have it. Super simple roasted tomato soup and a really nice cornbread to accompany it. Happy fall.